Hello and welcome to Black Economics TV. We have with us today Kim P. Now, Kim P might sound a little bit odd because, like me, you're thinking, oh, what does P stand for? And would you believe it's for security reasons why Kim does not give out her surname? Because she's had threats in the past and she's making it a little bit more difficult for people to find her. Why? Because this lady is an anti-racist educator, campaigner. She's an ally in the true sense of the word. Kim, I want to say thank you for what you do, first of all.
Thank you.
I want to say to the audience that I came across her on LinkedIn, and she also has a YouTube channel with over 500 videos, trying to educate the world into how to be an anti-racist, how to be a real ally. Thank you for what you do, and let's find out a little bit more. I'm going to read a little bit about her biography. She says, I'm an experienced educator, content creator, and facilitator, specializing in diversity, equity, cultural competence, and anti-racism for the most reluctant learners. I like the way you say for the most reluctant learners, because people who are racist are definitely reluctant learners. They don't want anybody to change their mind or to show them a different way. She said her work spans education and content development with a focus on making complex topics accessible and impactful. Thank you, Kim. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to have you. Give me some background. Let's go back a little bit. Tell us about your young life, childhood, growing up, education, all the fun times. And then when did you become into this awareness phase?
All right. Well, uh, I love talking. I spent most of my career teaching and listening and trying to help people see one another's humanity, if you will. My background is in applied behavioral sciences and special education with an emphasis in multiculturalism and group behavioral management. Um, I taught, I'm a little bit old, so I have a bit of background. I taught in Compton during the Los Angeles civil unrest, Rodney King riots, they're called, in the United States, and later developed programs to help people unpack their biases and fears and misunderstandings um, about the culture we live in. I specialize in working with the most reluctant, like you had said, resistant, fearful, resentful white folks who don't understand, or, I don't know, I guess I could just say it, they don't understand the role systemic racism plays in our culture that we've inherited. And after decades of teaching and creating online communities, and I decided to start Synergy Unlimited, which is my company's name, I guess you could say. And I wanted to bring what I learned, the empathy, equity, inclusion to a broader audience. And hopefully, I can do that through my courses and my books and my online presence. My work combines history, social science, and trying to get people to find their humanity, um, grab their humanity back, and especially white folks. That's my specialty. And just to understand the culture we live in, all the things we were never told, never taught. And
Mm.
I'm about to publish my first book, so I'm very excited. It's called Indoctrination 365. And it's specifically for white folks who are, again, reluctant, resistant, nervous, shy, think, oh, racism, there's no racism in America, denial and whatnot. Those are the people I work with. And so my book is for them. And it's not an easy read in the sense that it's, you got to be brave and courageous and say, you know what? It's not about me, but I think if people really want to know what the heck's going on in the United States right now, my book tells it all. So I
Mm,
hope that was an
okay.
introduction, I guess.
All right. Tell me, what caused your desire to come out against racism?
Well, it wasn't exactly one moment. When I was really little, I noticed something was going on. We'd say the Pledge of Allegiance in school, and this whole liberty and justice for all. And I was like fourth grade, and I'm like, but we don't really do this, do we? And I didn't understand, and
Wow.
there was no hub for me to like go, what's going on? No, I was raised in the era of colorblindness, where you talk about racism in the United States, at least, and you're racist. And so you learn really young as a white person, you don't bring it up and you keep your mouth shut. But I wanted to know like what's going on here. I could see it. And so as I got older, I would start watching, what's going on. And when I was about 12, I had a very small incident that kind of changed my life. It was in the summer, and my sisters and I were playing downstairs. And okay, true confessions. When we had all our friends would jump the balcony in the back of our house to come in, and they would have to kind of climb in. It wasn't like a standard way to enter the house, but my parents knew. They didn't really care. They knew what was going on. But so all the boys and girls would jump the balcony and just knock on our screen door, at the bottom of the house. And one day my dad took me aside and said, and he never came down too much. He was always working, and he said, Kim, tell Dan he needs to use the front door, and stop going around the back. And I was like, okay, why? I was like, we've been doing this, I just wanted to know why. And he said, because if the police see him, they'll think he's a burglar and they might shoot him. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what's he? Well, my Dan was the person who was black in the group of friends. And I never looked at him that way but my dad knew, and he was afraid the police would think he was a burglar.
Mm,
So I was
mm,
just like, I was 12. I was like, oh my goodness. And it kind of, I didn't say any more, but stuff like that, I was in my own world. I didn't know. And then I was like, whoa. So that was it. And
mm.
had to learn about it in, the university, and I had to figure this out. So, that's kind of how I started, and how I started talking out was, well, first of all, I got older and I watched all the injustice and the cruelty and the denial again and again. And at some point, I just was like, this is crazy. We all just pretend it's not going on. What is this? It's like this giant open elephant in the room, so to speak, that nobody says anything. White people never talk about it. Never. And
Mm.
so one of my influencer friends at the time said, "Hey Kim, you really should do videos." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? No way. I'm shy. I'm not going to do that. No way." Because he had read my writing, and he goes, "Kim, it's not about you." Yes.
Mm.
And it kind of was like, and that was like 15 years ago. And I go, you know what? He's right. It's not about me. Who cares if I look, poor on camera or can't speak well? Hearing a white person speak the truth is all that matters. So I did one little video, and it ended up doing really well. And I didn't know what well was at the time, because I didn't know anything about all this. I just thought, you know what? And I went for it, and I haven't shut up since. I don't know how else to put it. But
Mm.
that's
Okay,
why.
okay. Can I ask what state did you grow up in America?
Absolutely. I grew up in California,
Okay,
and I live now in New York, and I've lived
okay,
here about half my life there, half my life here. So,
okay, okay. All
yep,
right.
Southern.
So when you had this difficult conversation with Dan, how did he take it?
Well, it was more like a one-way conversation. Oh, with Dan, I didn't.
Yeah.
With Dan, I don't. This is just so strange. I don't remember. I was
Okay.
12 and I don't remember anything after that. I was kind of like, God, I don't even know if I told him. I was like in shock because my dad had like come down and I thought I was in trouble. So I was more
Mm.
like, kind of like, what did I do? What did I do? Because he didn't come down unless we were in trouble. And so I don't remember. Is that terrible? I was 12 and I remember he still came over, but I don't really remember. Is that
Okay.
terrible?
No,
Anticlimactic?
no, no,
And
not at all.
yeah, good
Okay.
question.
So, in terms of your own personal life now, what
Mhm,
experience do you have in terms of working with or interacting with Black or brown people in your personal life or in work?
mhm. Well, Black people in general hold a very huge place in my heart because everything I know, all the depth and no matter what education I've had, no matter what books I've read, what I learned at the university, everything I know about systemic racism and the damage and the depth of it has come from my relationships um,
Okay.
with Black people who have given me this gift of trusting me to tell me their stories. And
Mm.
when I had communities with, 5,000, 15,000, 30,000 people from all over the country and some from other countries as well, when I had platforms like that, people would tell me the same stories, the same type stories over
Mm.
and over and over. They didn't know each other, but
Yeah, yeah.
like amazing. It was the same experience and it was
Mm.
systemic. And so the mentors and very close friends who happened to be Black people who weren't afraid to just open up and tell me, it has basically taught me everything I've ever wished to know. And it's a gift. And
Mm.
I will never be able to repay it's a gift of from the heart. I know that might sound
Mm.
dramatic to some, but that's how I feel. That's
Okay.
that's
Do
that.
you have any that's part of your family at all?
Say it once more.
Do you have any Black or brown people that are part of your family?
Well, you know what's so funny is um after I got into doing this, my husband and I always I always wanted to adopt and we were adopting um and we ended up adopting after many many tries in a couple different countries. We ended up adopting a little girl from Ethiopia, and that was
Mm.
19 years ago.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
am raising a little. She's 17 right now, and I'm raising a little girl who's Black in a white family. And
Okay.
has been talk about thinking you know everything, oh, I've done this, and then I realize like, okay, I know nothing. And then I do
Mm.
more. And I think, I get it. No, I know nothing. Raising a
Mm.
little girl who
Yeah.
actually has to deal with it in this kind of cultural setting we're in now. I still know nothing, but I will take my last breath trying to figure it out. And now I have a little more pointed for her because you know, she's our baby.
Well,
That's
yeah, you're experiencing some of these things firsthand now, really,
oh yeah, oh
because
yeah.
of how people might even look at you when you both go out, you know?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, we've had it all. We've had it all. It's been quite a journey. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I've had to work on hard is not letting because this is what I've studied and what I just feel is such an important thing um to educate others about. I can't jade my child. This has to be her journey. I can't
Yeah.
like put my jaded adult, emotions on her. So it's been quite a balance, and it's been a journey. I'm very lucky to have her, and um, my older kids are wonderful, and my husband is just we've all just learned and grown together, and
Oh, that's
it's been
lovely.
yeah, they love her, and we've all just learned, and
Oh, well, that's good.
made mistakes, but we we're here and we're always here there for her and as she is
Yeah,
for us.
well, hey, no one's perfect, you
Yeah.
know?
Do our best and we love her dearly. So
Yeah. One of the posters you have on your banner, on your profile, says, I will not stay silent. Explain that.
yeah, okay. Well, it's about for me, and this is personally, obviously I preach this as well to white folks, but for me, this is my feeling. I won't stay silent because I will not take white comfort over Black Lives Mattering. And when I say Black Lives Mattering, I mean life or death. Because you see, my feelings won't kill me. I'll somehow make it through, I'll be okay. But systemic racism, the way it's going in the US, um, it causes incredible, incredible damage and pain and death and
Mm.
suffering. And so I'll live, you know? I will never choose my comfort, at least I try not to, over what it really is. And it's equity and justice and liberty and justice for all and forming a more perfect union and everything we talk about, but so many of us don't do. It's like
Mm.
words, like empty words. So I guess that's what it means to me. Because I know we can do better than this. We have to do better than this. You know, I don't know if you follow real closely what's happening in the US, but whew,
Yes,
it's
I do.
it
And
is
it's
not
very,
great.
very sad. It's
Yes,
very sad. It's
it's
as
so
if all those years spent marching and suffering and people dying for the cause just being rolled back by the stroke of a pen, and it's happening and no one's really making a big fuss over it. It's just so,
normalizing it. Absolutely, we've normalized it. It's like, oh, business as
yeah,
usual. It's
yeah. And
white
when
folks.
when the president says, "Oh, no more DEI," then companies just drop DEI like a hot stone.
Oh, they bend the
And
knee.
just
It's
like
disgusting.
it's almost
Yeah.
like they were waiting for this.
Oh,
Oh, now
exactly.
we now
It,
we can drop the pretense
hmm
and just
it's
look after the
really,
white folks.
yep, back to business as usual, protecting
That's right.
white
And
folks.
you hear of firms who are letting go staff, and the
Oh, yeah.
staff they're letting go all black, keeping all
It's,
the white staff.
oh,
I
you know
mean,
what?
it's absolutely shocking.
It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. I'm sorry to say, but it's who we are. And it's all out in the open now. And, they're the powers that may be, I don't like to mention names, but are trying to silence anyone who doesn't agree with white supremacy. They want to silence us, and it's not going to
And
happen.
and you've been having this pushback of people trying to silence you for a while. Tell us what happened with Facebook.
Oh yeah, Facebook. My first group, my first giant community that I worked with and hosted on Facebook. I had, oh my gosh, I loved it. It was wonderful. I had like 40,000 people who were talking and listening and just talking about this subject that everybody didn't want to talk about. I had lots of white folks. I had folks who were black and brown and indigenous, and they wanted to talk about it. They wanted to talk about it as I did, and it was wonderful. And then things were going great. And I had live shows. I had book clubs. I was really going nuts. And then one day I just got this message. I couldn't log in one day and I'm like, what's going on? So I went onto my Gmail to see like, well, this is strange. It's never happened. And I got a note saying you have been no warnings, no jail time, no nothing. I thought didn't even know why, but I mean, we know why. And Facebook, it was from Facebook, and they said we no longer support your content, and they said you're kicked off for life, basically. I don't know what words they used. It was a long time ago. This was years ago. And I was like, what the actual beep. I mean, I was like, you could be kidding me. I was like shocked. Because that's was just so important to me, and I don't know. And then so I somehow got through that. I didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. I didn't, for all I know, I just dropped off the planet. Um, and then once I pulled my act together, I started on YouTube. Um, silly me. Got monetized after a year, and things were going great there. And then like 3 or 4 years later, I got a little nicer note saying our committee has met and we've decided we cannot support your content. And so they demonetized me, effective immediately. And I was like, oh my God, not this again. This is crazy because I didn't really talk to other people too much about, you know, being a host or an influencer or whatever you call it. I, I was I just did my thing. And so I got kicked off there. And once you're demonetized, your videos go from like thousands of people seeing them to like one or two that like one or two stalkers that might like jump on and look for you. You get maybe like 2 hits on your videos. Nobody sees your videos. Like, so I mean, you can keep making them, of course. I wasn't kicked off for life like I was on Facebook, but
Mm.
nobody saw them. So I stopped making videos. So they silenced me. And
Oh,
then
wow.
I was absolutely devastated at that point. And then
Yeah.
a couple years later, I started. My husband actually said, "You should go on LinkedIn." I'm like, "Oh, those guys are educated. They won't, they wouldn't want to learn about this stuff. They're like, that's like professionals, and they already know all this." And lo and behold, there's a lot of professionals on there, a lot of amazing people, but a lot of folks who want to learn too. And
Yeah, well, absolutely. And well
so
done to
far,
your husband. Well done
yeah,
to your husband for suggesting that, It's really nice that he's there supporting you.
yeah, he was
And
really, yeah.
you tried a different platform, and I think you have about 18,000 followers on there, haven't you? So that's going really big as well. So it shows that people are interested.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, to be honest, Don, I feel like people like they want to talk about it. White folks, because that's who I speak to white folks. I don't speak, I mean, if Black, Brown, Indigenous people, people of mixed heritage and whatnot want to listen, of course I like welcome them and thank them, but I don't teach them. I mean, they teach me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like, what am I going to teach them? I don't live it. I
Mm,
don't, what would I have to offer? And so on there, it's incredible, because
mm,
there's so many white folks who want to learn, but in the United States, you certainly aren't going to get it in school. And
mm,
if your parents aren't highly educated in this particular area, they don't know it either. And
mm,
there's no hub white folks can go to and learn all this automatically and immediately. And so I want to be a place where even people who, think, oh, come on, racism's over. That's ridiculous. We had a black president. And, oh, give me a break. I don't have white privilege. I work hard. They don't understand, the vilification that's happened with some of the terminology that's taken from academia. And so I want to create a hub that people can go to and make mistakes and not get pounced on, but just, you know, it's a long process. It's indoctrination. That's why I named my book Indoctrination 365. It is
mm.
we're indoctrinated from birth in this country. We
Well,
are,
absolutely. And you know what I think is interesting? You guys in America have Black History Month in February. We have it
yeah.
in October here. And there's a lot of content makers who are giving snippets of Black History Month, stories about Black people, positive stories, I've got to say, and some hard to listen to stories as well. So they're trying to educate the world, even if in some parts of America books are being banned,
Great.
celebration of diversity is being banned. They're doing what they can on social media. And I think that's a great thing because to be
Awesome.
quite honest, sometimes I'm hearing stories that I didn't even know because, when you
Yeah.
grow up in a Western system like I have in the UK, these things aren't taught at schools. Later on, when you go to university, you start mixing with people who are more enlightened, I should say, and you widen your reach with regards to books, then you start to discover what has really happened. which you're never going to be taught in school or in college. You just have to find out yourself. So I think those content makers, along with yourself, are educating people. Now, I think a lot of these white people were actually listening to this and being quite surprised themselves about some of the inventions they didn't know about that were done by black people. And, we've got to say thanks to those people who continue to educate and to yourself, who continue to educate white people in particular, because some of the things that people feel are through ignorance.
Right,
They've
right.
seen, they've
Yeah, it's an
seen that
amazing.
people were always at the bottom of the pile, are always going to be at the bottom of the pile, have never done anything worthwhile. And we know that's not true.
It's just ludicrous. It's totally hidden history. We have a month we have a month where we might mention Martin Luther King Jr. and talk about how much we love him and what a great guy he was, and cherry pick everything, and we might learn a few other things, but that's it. As if, yeah, it's just unbelievable. Black people were the first Americans. They were the people who were here first, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and we act like enslaving human beings and dragging them over from the shores of the African continent was the first time they ever existed.
Mm.
It's ridiculous. We don't teach their history. We don't teach our history, let alone the
Yeah.
invention. A lot of people will do, like, for example, when I do my videos, I do hidden history videos. I have a giant series on it, and the reason I do that is because any white person who sees, who learns even a handful of the hidden history, there's thousands and thousands of parts, would say, wow, we live in a culture of systemic racism, and all this has been hidden from us, and this isn't right. Well, you don't have to call somebody racist. They just have to hear about a real history and go, oh my God, now this all makes sense.
Yeah.
And so the biggest chapter in my book is chapter 11, or is it 10? I have to look back. I've been switching things. It's just hidden history and
Yeah.
fascinating things that you won't believe were kept. I mean,
Yeah.
Sundown Town, the Devil's Punch Bowl, human zoos. I could just go on and on. There are things people have never heard of.
Well, there'll be quite a number of black people who will also probably be buying your book because they want to know, because we weren't taught either in some of
Right?
these ways. We're learning now as
Yep,
adults.
yep, absolutely.
Okay. Are you actually changing racist hearts, do you think, or are you actually getting a lot of abuse? Tell me.
Um, well, that's that's a good question. Um, Let me just think about how I want to answer that. I would say both. I am absolutely positive. I know this sounds really arrogant, but for white folks, I've seen the growth. I've actually seen people who, for example, if I can give an example, I had one woman years ago come into a group of a community of mine, and I had capped the community at 5,000 and we had 7 admins. And this woman said to me, I don't see color. She came in that way, and I was like, okay, that's a start. It's not ideal, but she's here to learn. And that, I mean, and she told us she was raised by very, clan like, surroundings, I guess. And it was like, wow. And she
Really?
stayed. Yeah, I was like, wow, okay. So she stayed, and she was older, and she stayed in the group for about 3 years, and she participated. And one day she private messaged me, and she said, I can't take this group anymore. And I said, okay, what's going on, And she said, these people coming in, new people coming in, they're saying things like, I don't see color, and it's obnoxious. And I'm like, she just, I said, well, maybe you're ready to move on. This is a beginner's group, and maybe you're ready to move on. And I was laughing my head off because that's exactly what she told me when she first came. And
Mm.
so I know that sounds like a silly story, but I know I'm making a difference. In that, like, I'm teaching white folks to open up their eyes, at least planting seeds. Maybe it's the 100th seed, and finally they, think, you know what, this makes sense, or it opens up them to stop being defensive, and just realize it's not about us individually. It's about a system we inherited, and it's not about us. It's not. I don't call people racist. We live in a system that is built around racism from the very beginning, and
Mm.
not acknowledging that just helps to keep and perpetuate it. So, and so yes, I know I'm influencing people in a sense that opening up people's eyes and whatnot, because people tell me, and I see their growth, and it's amazing. But I also get I get feedback that's really bad sometimes. Like, I've had death threats, multiple death threats over the years. It's been 20 plus years. So.
Wow.
And I do get people. It's mostly, I hate to stereotype, but it is mostly white men, and obviously there are hundreds and hundreds of white men in my communities that are wonderful, but the ones that
Yeah.
aren't wonderful, they are not shy about telling me to shut up. And
Yeah.
they do come on and tell me off, and they also tell me I'm ugly, I'm old. They come into my videos online and say like, "You're ugly, you're old, your boobs are sagging." I'm like, "Oh my God, how did you know?" Wow, just kidding. But I mean, of course it hurts. It's like it's an insult, and I feel bad because if they really knew the truth, they would feel so silly. They'd be like mortified, But so a bit of both. I definitely I piss people off, not on purpose, but
Mm.
they don't want a white person standing up for what's right. I
Yeah.
don't want anyone
I th
standing up for what's right, to be honest. But
yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting that you have live streamed panels and discussions
mhm.
entitled Racism Unfiltered, White Women Talk. That's interesting. So you get one or two or more people and you just have a discussion about racism live. Yeah?
Well, my newest thing is Racism Unfiltered, and we haven't had panels yet. My old stuff, oh my gosh, we had panels, we had guest speakers, it was crazy. I had everything. But this newest one that I just started about 2 months ago with another white woman
Mm.
who is incredible. And she came to me one day and said, "I love your work you're doing." And I'd never worked with a white woman on this topic, just, you know, and I got to know her, and this lady she's crazier than I am. She's wonderful. She's, she's nuts. She's so funny. And I just love her. We became fast friends, and we are putting out, videos once a week now. They're a little different. They are white women talk. Basically, we sit there and we shoot the shit about racism, and
Yeah, yeah.
we just talk, and we talk about everything, and we keep it
Okay.
very, very real. And we want people to
Okay.
see that, what, we too live through it every time we survive, and we talk about stuff, and we get passionate, we get a little nuts, and we say our piece, and we challenge each other and support each other, and we want white women to realize that, because in the US, I'm sure you know all this. I don't want to, sound belittling, but white women have been the catalysts and the abusers
Mhm.
from the very beginning. Um, we white women, we weren't allowed to own property of any sort, but we were allowed to own enslaved humans in the beginning
Mhm.
of the US, and we did, we did. And of all the people to do such a horrific thing, we should have known better, and we did, but we didn't care. And many of the atrocities, white women have been catalysts of. And so white women collectively can help make a difference, um, because we have been quite horrendous to our sisters who are Black, Brown, Indigenous sisters
Yeah,
of color. So
yeah.
that's what this one's about. That it's about just talking, and people listen and can kind of jump in and, you know, just hear
Mm.
what's going on.
Okay. You've created some material called Anti-Racism 101. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I started Well, what I do is I do contracts for organizations that want to learn about this, and I specialize in making it exactly what they want. And so after I did that for a while, and worked for some companies, um, and nonprofits, I thought, well, gosh, why don't I make my own course? So I took a lot of my materials and I created a course um, that people can do, and then I turned it into a book. And so that's
Mm.
kind of where I'm at right now is a more comprehensive book. The course is just
Mhm.
very, very the beginnings of just the foundations. Um,
Okay.
and I ended up writing, the book that I'm going to publish is all about the course and everything in between. So
Okay.
that's where I kind of ended up.
Okay. Well, once we have links for these things, we'll put them underneath the video, yeah, so that people can go and research and support your work.
Thank you.
Um, there's a
Appreciate it.
few there's a few topics that I wanted to pick out. Lies we believe that keep up racism. So there are lies out there. Can you give me some examples?
Oh, yes, I will. There's so many. There's so many. I don't really know where to start, to be honest. There's so many. And when I say lies, I don't mean somebody walks up to you and says, your pants are green when they're blue, but actually I kind of do. Um, they are so uh, enmeshed in our culture that we don't even think they're lies. We just accept them as the way things are, almost as if it's a given and it's not some sort of crazy social construct that race is. Um,
Mm,
People don't understand, first of all, that race isn't real. It's a social construct. Racism is quite real, very, very real. But
mm,
race, we're all the human race. And that's
mm.
a kind of a big point. So people are very, very confused about that. Um, Another lie that I think is huge is they think a lot of folks, white folks, think that racism is about hating black people. And it can be, I suppose, but that's not what creates the power. Racism is about a system that has power in it to stop and discriminate against certain people and give advantages and privileges to others. And the systemic part is what really makes the difference. Sure, someone will hurt your feelings. They call you the N word. That's just rude. But you think, well, it's an individual, well, what if they're your boss? What if they're a policeman?
Mm,
What if there's someone who
mm,
can actually have power over you? Well,
mm.
the systemic part comes into play. And so white folks, we don't understand. We think racism is something that it's not um, in the impactful way. It's systemic racism that I teach about, not that
Mm,
your mommy and daddy taught you to be a nasty little thing, and be horrific with your words. That too is racism, but the power to be able to discriminate in meaningful and large impacting ways. That's what we
yeah.
don't understand. And then lastly, I could just go on and on. The meritocracy myth is ridiculous. We think that we live in a meritocracy. Well, for white folks, maybe we do, but everybody else has to beg, steal, borrow, and hope for and work doubly as hard to get half as much. To just have
Mm,
an opportunity to participate in what we just automatically can participate in for the most
mm.
part. So I could go on and on. There's just so many lies, and we believe them with all our heart because that's all we've ever been told, and no one's taught us differently. So
Yeah. And it affects Black people in so many ways. I mean, imagine going for a job or even applying for a job and then your name doesn't fit, so they don't call you for an interview. Or your name might sound quite English, like the majority of white Americans. You're called for the interview, and you enter the room, and you can tell that the person sitting behind the desk is not happy to see you. There's a disappointed look Although they might
Mhm.
try to hide it, they think that we won't notice, but we do.
Of
And then
course.
when you go through the motions and you're told you don't get the job, you, as a person with power, is denying the person in front of you work, which would help their family, sometimes three generations of family.
Right.
You are systematically causing a
Mhm.
certain level of poverty, you know,
Absolutely. And the statistics
because
don't
you're
lie.
not giving that job. Same goes
Mhm.
when you decide to let go of staff and it's black people you let go first. You don't care if their family suffers and can't pay their bills and become homeless. As long as the white person gets the job and gets the best jobs and gets promoted faster, that's all you care about. It's kind of puzzling why people would be like that. And yet they know there's some aspects of life that they can't not see black people in. They love sports.
Right, right, right.
The football field, we're at Super Bowl. We dominate basketball, we dominate music. There's so many aspects of
Mhm.
what we produce as creators, as
Mhm.
innovators,
Yeah, black
that
excellence.
America would be poorer without that.
Absolutely.
America
And
would be
yeah.
boring without that.
Well, we want what we want and then want to ignore. It's this is the way I used to put it to some of the folks who would talk to me is we absolutely love the music, the culture, the the dancing, the acting, the sports. We just don't love the people. I mean, and that's like pathetic. We don't want to look at their humanity. We want to be entertained. And that's
Yeah,
kind of disgusting. Uh,
yeah,
and that's part of this entire larger picture. You know,
yeah. People need to
it's
start looking at changing that,
yeah, and
and people
that's
like
why I
you
wrote
and
my book.
others.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, people like you and others. It's interesting to see Mamdini, Zohan Mamdini, who won
Yeah,
the first
yeah, yeah,
Muslim to become mayor of New York.
yeah. New York
I,
City, yeah,
listening to him, he reminded me of Obama when he was doing his amazing speeches, still doing amazing speeches, I
adorable.
gotta say.
He's just plain adorable. As an older woman, I can say this. He's just adorable. He is
Yeah,
incredibly
yeah.
compassionate.
But then, so people can look at him and realize that, hold on, why would I want to be racist towards this man? Because he might be able to help me. And in so many ways, if we work together as community, black, white, red, yellow, brown, you know, we could help each other do so much more, achieve so much more. Racism, in a sense, it's almost like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Well, if I could expand on that, that's an outstanding point, of course. In in the US right now, one of the things that white folks don't understand is the system of racism is a monetary system. It's not a monetary system for everybody, but the wealthiest elites who run our country count on and use systemic racism and our desire for it, the masses desire to, and we use it, they use it to make themselves wealthy. Because you see, if the general public of white folks look at Black people, immigrants, brown people, indigenous people who don't look white as the problem, then they're not looking at the real problem. And
Mm.
the real problem is the wealthiest elites who create laws and govern and have all the power and harm everybody else. They
Mm.
don't pay their fair share of taxes. They create
Mm.
laws that benefit them and harm others. I mean, just think about what's happening now. And the worst fear of the wealthiest elites in this country is that we finally freaking catch on, us white
Yeah,
folks, that we have
wake up.
much more in common with Black, brown, indigenous people and people who don't look white like us than we do with the billionaires and millionaires who could give a shit about us. And it's like
Mm.
we're fools. And that's worked for centuries. And part
Mm.
of what I want to do is educate people. We're being played, and we're harming our brothers and sisters who are Black, Brown, and Indigenous, and our brothers and sisters who are harming them. And
We've been played.
it's
Mm.
sick. It's a business, and they're getting rich off it. So
Yeah, yeah. We see that. We see the corruption. I don't
the
think
corruption.
American can ever say, "Oh, there's corruption over in Africa."
I know.
When you
We
see the
love
blatant
going.
corruption in America, it's like,
Well, ours is legal. We don't call it corruption. We call it something else. But ours is legal corruption. So we don't. Right. We need a giant mirror. We need a giant mirror.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
but anyway, yeah.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work, and I hope that the effect goes far and wide. There's not many ambassadors like you for uh, living harmonious lives among different races. Hardly any, actually. So I just wanted to say thank you for being brave enough to do this, even
You're
in the
so sweet.
face
I
of
never need. Thank you. I never
even
need
in the
thanks.
face,
It's my honor. Honestly, it's the least.
even
I
in
think
the
it's a
face of
minimum
social
requirement.
media shutting you down and people sending you death threats and all these horrible comments.
Yeah.
Honestly, you and your family, you are amazing. Thank
Well,
you for what
you're
you
so
do.
sweet. Thank you so much for being so kind. And honestly, I just wanted to say nothing that happens to me is even remotely close to what happens in the lifespan of a person who lives in our culture, who is Black, Brown, Indigenous, or of mixed heritage, or not white passing, And
Yeah.
so I'm not a hero. I'm a person who just cares deeply, and I won't sit and just watch this. I can't. It's
Thank you. Thank you. And
thanks
people
for
need
having
to listen to what you just said, because the fact is, as a Black person, you're always going through some kind of racism. You might be having a peaceful time, and then suddenly somebody calls out to you on the street, or there's microaggressions at work, or you're the first to get fired, or they're finding fault. It's always your fault if something goes wrong. They'll pin it on you, even if it's been happening from
right.
predecessors who were white for years. We can see that happening even in British politics at the moment.
Every
And
story you just mentioned, I've heard them all
yeah,
over and over and
and
over.
racism hurts. It hurts us. I've got to say, it
Absolutely.
absolutely hurts us because you feel that somebody's attacking you or not giving you what you deserve or paying you far less than somebody else because they're white, or somebody else gets that promotion although they're not as qualified as you or not as experienced as you. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've heard where uh, uh, a white person has been promoted and the person who really is experienced, has been on that job or in that department for ages, has to teach the new white person how to do their job. I can't
What a
tell you how many times I've
what a
heard that, and the
slap in the face.
pain and hurt that causes,
This is a slap in the face.
you
It
know?
really is. Yeah.
And you kind of feel that there's nothing I can do. I'm Black, and I'm actually proud of being Black. I like my color. I don't want to
Right.
change,
Right.
but I
Exactly.
want to be treated fairly. And that isn't always happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
See,
thank you for your empathy.
oh,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. It's the least minimum requirement for acting human. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. You take care.
Okay. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
You're welcome.